In the latest Cyberpunk 2077 news, Paweł Sasko explained that wall running was removed from the game because after testing, the mechanic failed to work with the game environments. One of the reasons why wall running is a contentious issue is because it was presented during the 2018 gameplay demos, but CDPR would subsequently fail to communicate why the feature was removed via official channels. Paweł confirmed CDPR are aware of the issues with water physics and are working to fix it. There is a debate on whether CDPR are right to remain silent on updates and DLC. Remember that Paweł is acting on his own, so remove him from the equation, and CDPR have provided almost nothing of value via official channels. On the question of a Goro Takemura romance, Paweł confirmed CDPR considered it, but ultimately it did not fit their vision of the game. Finally, there is an update on DLC.
Thing is, like, if you're looking at other games that had rocky launches, right? The super famous examples are, of course, the No Man's Sky, and games like that, right? They did go radio silent for most of the time, right? I don't want to bring up any other examples, but I'm just mentioning this, right? So in a way, the history of game development, I would say, shows us plenty of, proof or maybe examples from the past that was the way that a lot of the creators decided to tackle that kind of problem. Thing is that we haven't been in situation like this before, right? And for me, it's very hard to decide, or very hard to say to you, is it better like this or not? Me personally, so as a Paweł Sasko, I would probably preferred to be a bit more transparent. But the thing is, I'm not the marketing guy or PR guy, right? I do not make calls about those things, and I don't have most amount of knowledge regarding those topics, right? So I just cannot really. People in the studio that are making those calls are way more knowledgeable on that sphere, and I'm just willing to trust them. So if that was the decision to go, I think then it was the right one. Wall running. Well, so I can talk about that a bit more. So let's look at the surroundings actually here. Do you see what location we're at? Now, imagine when you in the game will have to add wall running. Let's think about any other examples of the games that actually have wall running right now. Now, what is the specific of that kind of games? Well, the walls are mostly very, very clean. There is literally nothing on those walls, right? And that makes, well, unfortunately, some of those spots looking incredibly artificial. And that's on top of that, it's actually very, very limiting for the art itself. And you can guys maybe poke Miles about it because he probably is way more knowledgeable to speak about the topic, but just imagine when you're having actually wall running in your game, it basically really dramatically limits your, holy shit, that laser, guys, they're really trying to own my ass. And imagine how limiting that is every time when you have to think about the location when you're building it, and every time when you're, Jesus, they are really packing a punch. Every time when you're trying to add a air conditioner or any kind of a unit on the wall, or even anything really that has a mesh form. So wow, that was harsh. That was harsh. But you know what? I mean, first death out of the way, now it's gonna be only better. So imagine a situation when you actually have to, every time when you're doing that, approach this and basically every time remove everything that is on the walls in Cyberpunk game and just make sure that the wall running is working. Can you imagine how stripping and limiting it would be for the artists? Just ask yourself this kind of question, because that's basically the actual a real problem that we have encountered when building it, right? When you're doing this, right, and you start building it and so on, you start asking yourself all those questions, and you're like, actually, this is impacting, the art of the game quite a bit more than actually you would want as a creator, and then the other, of course, question is, okay, so. Because I sometimes tend to say that, game development is more like a barter, right? So you need to give something to get something, right? Wow. Holy shit, they just hatched me. Okay, guys, we need to change the strategy. And I think the strategy that we need to change is I need to speak a bit less and focus a bit more on playing. So imagine basically just how limiting that is for the game when you have to add this kind of a mechanics to the game. And then, imagine, basically how the city would look like. Just look at the loading screen that we have right now, right? Look at those balconies. Imagine that this is a spot where you have any kind of combat. Now, what happens? Well, actually, it turns out that I need to come to Miles every time and tell him, hey, Miles, unfortunately, your fantastic location, well, we need to remove some of those balconies because, the combat doesn't work well enough. And no, of course, Miles, looking at it, he thinks probably the same. And this becomes really, really problematic, for a game that has open structure, similarly to the Cyberpunk game. So that is a really, really high cost that you as a game developer need to take, for having these mechanics in the game. And then, always the question is, okay, am I willing actually to take that cost? Am I really willing to take that cost, as a creator, and really just have simply, worse looking locations, worse looking art, while in fact, it does not really bring that much. Holy shit. It does not bring that much to the table, right? Anyhow, this is what I wanted to say regarding this specific topic now. So, guys, regarding the water physics, I mean, one thing I wanted to mention, because I saw this question like popping up multiple times on the stream, is that we are definitely know about the issue. We're also not happy with the way it currently works. Okay, and I'll just leave it at that. So I can talk maybe a bit more about the Takemura regarding behind the scenes story, and then I'm going back to playing. So guys, the important thing regarding the Takemura is that from very beginning we sort of knew what kind of character we wanted to build, and he was supposed to take a role of this of Ronin, a samurai that lost his master. And on the stream when Philip was with me, we were talking quite a bit about who Takemura is and how he came to be. And it's an interesting thing because like the questions regarding should Takemura actually have his own romance or not have been asked very, very early inside our team. And I'm not talking about the quest team here, but actually at this point it was even our QA, so our quality assurance, our testers have been asking us, hey, don't you feel that there should be a romance with him? And we had like a bunch of discussions regarding like, hey, how that could be tackled, would that be right, how it would feel. And then, throughout like many, discussions, we reached a conclusion that it really wouldn't feel right for him as a character, for his role in the game.
In Pan Am for long?
Because we were worried that it will basically just make him look really weird and strange, especially for some combinations of players. Because not everybody is really a fan of Takemura in terms of like how they like him. For some people he still is, for some players he still is a servant of Saburo in a way. And even though a lot of things has changed in his past and so on, he might be interesting as a love interest, I would say. Like very early, as a designers, we realized that we are not seeing the way how the Cyberpunk story is designed. We are not seeing a good moment or spot for him to develop that further, and that was basically our take on it. What about the female smasher romance DLC? This one link as well.
Okay, we'll pick this up later.